Lots of unfolding newspapers can only mean one thing. International press review this time. Florence with us here in the studio. Starting off with the US budget crisis, a lot of coverage of that.
That's right. We're going to start off with the Wall Street Journal Europe. It says the debt crisis has the US scrambling. And there you see a photo of Republican Speaker of the House John Boehner being questioned by reporters in the quarters of the US Capitol on Wednesday. It's also on the cover of the International Herald Tribune, a similar photo there. We're going to take a look at a cartoon in the International Herald Tribune by Tim Tolles, and it shows Republicans and Democrats that are caught in their political brinksmanship, stubbornly saying that they're ready to push the situation to the limit. And in the meantime, the economy has fallen off with a cliff. Whoops, they say. And speaking of brinkmanship, there's an interesting piece in the International Herald Tribune by David Barash, who is a professor of psychology at the University of Washington. And using game theory and actually the elephant mating patterns, he explains the psychology behind this debt ceiling debate. And he starts by saying that there's a common assumption that in American politics that politicians will compromise because they realize that they can get more if they compromise rather than demand everything and not get anything. And he says there's sometimes when there are limits to this assumption. So he describes a rogue elephant, so basically a male elephant during mating season, that what he calls becomes temporarily crazy and plays chicken with other male elephants. And he says when confronted with a rogue elephant, you must stop playing the game. And he says that basically in the debt ceiling debate, Republicans are acting like rogue elephants and that President Obama should stop playing the game and just proceed to govern as best as he can.
Perfect analogy. I love it. Great stuff. Well picked out. The Libyan crisis is making some of the newspapers. Of course, the UK Foreign Minister, William Hague, accepting the National Transitional Council as the legitimate government in the UK.
Absolutely. We're going to take a look at The Guardian, which points out that this recognition of the National Transitional Council means that there'll be a change of diplomatic personnel in London. And this, of course, has drawn major criticism from Tripoli. Now, there's a double-page spread in The Guardian that looks at the reaction following this announcement. And the news spread quickly yesterday, and a crowd of anti-Gaddafi exiled gathered in front of the Libyan People's Bureau in Knightsbridge, waving the rebel flag, the green, red, and white revolutionary flag. And they actually asked the police if they could swap it with the regime's green flag. And now the police said that they would have to wait 3 or 4 days for there to be the full shift. Now, the man expected to lead the new diplomatic operation is a man named Mahmoud al-Naku. He's a British-based dissident, a well-known writer and journalist. And there's an interesting piece by Simon Tisdall in The Guardian. He says that he's kind of seeing what this means for William Hague, this decision to acknowledge the rebels as the real leaders. And he says that it's a risky move, it's a gamble, because if things don't go to plan, it'll leave Hague badly exposed. Basically, if Gaddafi survives, Hague may not.
OK, let's move quickly on to the Wall Street Journal. Harsh words for African leaders.
Absolutely. Now, in its editorial, it looks at who's to blame for what it's calling the worst food crisis in roughly 60 years. And according to the UN, the chief culprit is man-made climate change. But according to the Wall Street Journal, the real problem is misrule. And this would explain the paradox that the Wall Street Journal describes, that there are people dying of hunger while Africa is not at loss for agricultural resources. And according to the Wall Street Journal, it's corrupt leadership that's robbed African farmers. And this problem has been compounded by unstable governments and shaky property rights.
Now, you can look at the press in India and Pakistan concerning a meeting between the two countries' foreign ministers.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to take a look at two English-language newspapers, The Dawn in Pakistan and The Hindu in India, and both are very positive about this meeting between the Indian Foreign Minister, S.M. Krishna, and his counterpart, Hina Rabi Kaur. Now, she's the first woman to have that job in Pakistan, and the Indian press was actually very impressed by this 34-year-old young woman, and they hope that she'll help smooth out relations between the two neighbors. Now, according to both the Indian and the Pakistani press, the talks, though they weren't substantive, were very symbolic. Both parties described the meetings as constructive and said that their relationship is back on track.
All right, Florence, thank you very much. That's Florence Villeneuve with the international papers here on France 24.